Tennessee's defense is going to be better than its offense. There, I said it.
Well, Tim, considering we have Josh Heupel as our head coach and his high-powered offense, and Vegas thinks that Nico is a top 5 Heisman candidate, some people might say you're stupid.
Well, some people might be right most days. But I think we can actually back up that's not as crazy a statement as it sounds. And it's not just because we got an All-American James Pierce flying off the edge, taking your quarterback's head off. There's a whole lot to like about this defense and where it's going. But let's take just 30 seconds or so. I ain't going to dwell on it, but let's take 30 seconds and look where we've been and the progress we've made up to this point.
And that's a good point, Tim. Let's look at yards per play. A lot of people look at the other, but with Tennessee's fast-paced offense, Tim, we almost basically play 5 quarters instead of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really a fair metric to us to go by yards per game or...
Yeah, total yards is just nothing.
So I think the best metric for us is probably yards per play. And 3 years ago, we were 61st in the country at 5.4. The next year, we went to 42nd in the country.
Big jump.
5.2 yards. And then last year, we went to 17th at 4.8 yards per play.
Yeah, and that 0.4 yards, that's a big number.
Mm-hmm.
And at 17th, you may not be elite yet, but you can look over there and you can see the elite teams.
Right. And honestly, Tim, I think this team makes another big jump. I think we're going to be maybe not statistically, I think we're going to be a top 5 defense in the country. That's how good I think this defense.
Well, it could be. I mean, I look back at last year's team. Numbers were there, but there was a couple of games. We had a couple of stinkers.
Yeah.
And there's no way you can say you're elite with a couple of stinkers we had last year.
Right.
So we're going to have to get rid of those. But that said, let's dive into why we think the stinkers might be the thing of the past.
Right.
And it starts right up front. 3 years ago, remember Matthew Butler, 700-plus snaps.
Yeah.
As a defensive tackle, my God, that's just ridiculous. Most plays of anybody in the Southeastern Conference.
He was wore out by then.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Let's look at the defensive tackles now, though. Instead of having one guy that's got to play all of them, we're at least 3 deep.
I've been following Tennessee football religiously since about 1983, Tim, and we've had some great defensive tackles.
Bob, you were born before that. I know you
slightly.
You were sucking on a big orange pacifier from the day you popped out.
I know, but I wasn't like, fanatic like I have been. But during that time frame, we've had some great defensive tackles.
Oh, Lord.
But there's not been a time that we've been this deep at defensive tackle.
With quality guys.
With SEC, caliber, ready. We could throw out there and not worry about them being in the game. We've never been this deep.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Not going to say we haven't had better starters.
Yeah, when we had John Henderson, Albert Haynesworth, Braille Franklin.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of good ones.
That's pretty good ones.
But that said, let's start up. The guy's been here for a long time, Big O, Amari Thomas. Right off the bat, that's a good guy to anchor your defensive line.
When you got a guy that's a 3-year starter, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, a guy who I think is more talented, and maybe have a couple more guys on that defensive tackles is more talented. A guy I think is going to take a big leap this year is Bryson Eason.
He reminds me of Darrell Taylor. Come in here way undersized, and every year he's put on more size. He come in as a linebacker. And he bulked up to be defensive end, bulked up again to be a defensive tackle. His body kept growing. His talent and his effort was a little bit behind.
Yeah.
It's caught up.
Well, not Charlie Garner. Coach Rodney Garner brought up the fact that he is really bought in and straining and giving the effort, and that has not been the case before here.
No, he kind of made a joke about it and said kind of pretty much the last guy that you would have guessed to be busting his tail was Bryson Eason.
Right. So this guy could take the next leap.
And
that'd be huge for this defense.
And the great thing about it is I'm not even sure he's going to be the starter.
He may not be. I mean,
It could be Omar Norman Lott.
which is another
He's a
guy.
dog, man.
I mean,
Another quick guy.
that's always living in the backfield. It seems like. And then you got Elijah Simmons, who's
Yeah,
kind of more of a nose guard type.
yeah. He plays that zero technique, maybe the one, um, like Omari does. Um, quickly. Last year we talked about him finally buying in.
Yeah,
Big guy, incredible talent, no effort. Bought in, got hurt, but showed some flashes before he did.
yeah,
This year he's back. The word is he's still bought in.
yeah.
So
It's all about weight with him. He gets balloons up about 345, 350, and he's just not the player they want him to be at that size. But I think he's more around 330 now.
and now, real quick, 5-star Davin Hobbs last year. This kid looked good.
He does. I mean, here normally we have a 5-star.
You got to play him. I mean,
You're thinking, oh, he's
most time when they're freshmen, we got to.
you know,
The last 15 years is the day he got off the bus, he would have been a starter.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I'm not sure if he's in the 2 deep.
I don't think he is
mean,
right now, but I expect a big jump from him.
I do too.
He's got the ability to go all the way up to starter.
Yeah, and you also have transfer Jackson Moya from Stanford.
He's a dog too.
I think he's
Big, strong Polynesian kid, quick as a cat.
Nice spin move. I think in practice.
Everybody raved about that. And we've got some younger guys who might, grab a few snaps. But let's move on over to the defensive ends. And, all starts back with a big cat out there, big James Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll just go ahead and say right now, even though some people list him one of the best in the country, if not the best Leo pass rusher in the country, I fully expect another big jump out of him. I mean, a lot of what he's done is done off athleticism. I think he could increase his strength and improve his moves. And watch out if he does.
Yeah, he's going to take another jump this year if he stays healthy. I don't think there's any doubt.
But not just him. When he goes out, you got Joshua Joseph.
Had a little bit of a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
I expect to see him back.
Not a bad defensive end at all. Caleb Herring, who I'll go on the record right now saying will be the next James Pierce. I don't know if he's quite as talented as James Pierce, but man, he's right knocking on his door talent-wise. And then you have
5-star Jordan Ross,
defensive end in the country. Jordan Ross coming in, as a true freshman.
Our Leo room, off the charts.
Yeah, and we didn't even mention Bradley.
Yeah,
who's a guy who once he gains weight,
he's a couple years from helping though. He's got to put some weight on.
But they say he's got the quickest get off of any of them. So the guy could be a future star if he just gain that weight.
On the other side of the line, we're looking at probably Tyree West.
Probably. I mean, he had a sack and a half in a bowl game. Following his assignment, doing what he's supposed to do, has always been his issue. If he can correct that, I think he could be a big-time player for us right there. The talent is there. I mean, he showed it in the bowl game.
Well, I mean, that's what you dictate coaching for. Sometimes it's a process, Behind him, right off the bat, my personal opinion, I mean, I don't know if he's going to get it right now because he's coming off an injury. Tyree Weathersby, I think, is a star in the making.
Well, I reckon he was making plays last year.
Well, I'd heard that he was
before he got hurt.
Yeah, he was second behind
Tyler Barron.
Tyler Barron, from my understanding. I mean,
and if that was true, then watch out.
Yeah, watch out for him this year
because he's probably your starter.
And he's another guy that's looks great at that strong side defensive end. Mm-hmm. He's 6'5", 260 plus, can slide in on your rabbit package to defensive tackle because he played defensive tackle in high school. But got the body that you just like, this guy.
And, if it ain't one of them two guys, it's Dominique Bailey, which is,
got a lot of snaps.
Got a lot of snaps. And Jason Jenkins, which is some players' breakout
guy, yeah. And coach, I mean, God, they love him.
Yeah, so he's a blue-collar guy, high effort, Yeah. So, I mean, you always want those kind of guys getting reps and doing good. gets everybody else doing what they're doing. You want to lead by example.
Before we jump to linebackers, one more guy I want to just, well, let me just quickly say Jamal Wallace. Don't know if he's going to do anything this year. Super raw JUCO guy.
Yeah.
As far as size and speed and athleticism, fits right in with the best guys we've got.
Yeah.
But he may be a year away.
Yeah.
But athletically, NFL written all over him.
Right.
Let's go to the linebackers, Bob. The next step up. Is it going to be better than last year? Pure and simple. Simple question.
I think so, Tim.
I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I really think so. I mean, we lost Aaron Beasley, but I will say this. I watched him a lot last year, and he was banged up. He wasn't the Aaron Beasley.
His drop-off was like that.
Yeah.
He looked like All-American one day, and you wonder what he was doing on it. Well, you wonder where he's at. You never heard his name.
Yeah.
And just like that.
So, bowl game looked amazing. First game looked amazing. After that, went off the deep end. But now you do get Keenan Peely back, which started first game last year, got hurt, out for the rest of the year. He's back. But the main thing, the reason why we think his linebacker group is going to be better.
All those talented young guys
We had a
that were
lot
freshmen last year and everything.
of young guys. Yeah. I
They're
mean,
sophomores now. Ain't that another one of the cliches? The best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
right. That's where you get your biggest jump.
Yeah. That starts with everybody's favorite guy, Aaron Carter.
The guy who we raved about last year, and I still think is going to be a superstar down there. Probably one of the most athletic linebackers we've ever had at UT, ever. And, he's a little banged up right now. Hopefully that hasn't held him back from taking that spot. But if you don't, we got several other guys, man.
Yeah, there's no guarantee who the other starter going to be at this point. Jeremiah T-Lander has had a tremendous spring.
Yeah. Coach's son.
Yeah, you knew all those white kid cliches with him.
Yeah.
Coach's son, gym rat, whatever you want to throw in there.
But he actually is a coach's son.
Yeah. Elijah Herring, starter from last year, had to take Peely's place. He had a rough year.
Yeah, at times he looked very good. At times he really struggled.
Yeah. Cue up the Missouri game at this point.
Yeah, I think the Missouri game, man, he
was exposed.
He was exposed. And some of it, I think, was speed. But I think some of it was just...
He wasn't ready to be out there yet. Mentally, he was not ready. And if you take a wrong step,
yeah,
you're over. Or if you hesitate to take a step, yeah. It don't matter if you're the last guy moving. It don't matter how fast you move. You're probably out of the play, and you're not going to catch up. Particularly at linebacker.
Another very athletic linebacker I really like, and I still think will be a big time player for us here, is Caleb Perry. Very athletic, and our best linebacker in pass coverage.
Quickly before we jump into the last two players, pass coverage. I'm a big, I like this William Inge guy, okay? Right. He's got a reputation as a teacher, and I'm not saying anything about Brian Jean-Marie.
Yeah.
I like him, but this is something that I've said ever since we started this podcast. Our linebackers have struggled in pass coverage. Their drops are not good now. How much of it is on linebackers and how much is on coaching? I'm not out there every day to tell you, but I will say this right here. I think Inge probably can get these guys a little bit better pass coverage, which is going to help the only potential weak spot on the team that we have. But that out of the way, Jalen Smith played special teams last year, looked like a maniac in high school. 6A Georgia player, the defensive player of the year.
Huge amount of
tackling machine.
I think he's averaging like 17, 18 a game.
Yeah.
Crazy like that.
He'll be in the rotation this year. But speaking of Inge, there was one player that made him giggle like a little schoolgirl when somebody brought them up, Bob.
Yeah, Edmund Spielman. Big time freshman linebacker we got. Just walked on the campus, basically got off the bus, went straight into spring practice. But he seemed pretty giddy about him and said that everybody will know who he is in 5 months. That got my attention. When coaches say stuff like that.
He said exactly what you look for. He's a guy that you got to say, whoa,
right?
Because you sure don't have to stay sick him. because from the moment he's strapped it up, he will knock you out.
Yeah,
He's 100 miles an hour, and he's a bullet out there. Future is bright for Evan Spillman.
Yes.
But that leaves us to the one spot of the team, man, which we don't know a lot because we've not seen hardly any of these kids out on the field simply because our entire defensive backfield, for the most part, departed.
It is our biggest question mark. Secondary is our biggest question mark. That's what everybody's going to say, and I agree with that. But what the coaches have said repeatedly is that our secondary has more talent, more athleticism, more speed. So,
And it does. That's why they left a lot of these guys go. I think it might have encouraged a couple of them, but they wouldn't match some NIL deals that some others had. And they were okay with letting them go because they had people they thought we got replacements. We got better.
one good thing I like about this secondary is I feel like we have two or three stars type, playmakers type guys back there who, uh, if you've got stars, guys who makes interceptions, knock passes away, causes fumbles, that's a big difference in the secondary. And those guys, let's start with cornerback Jamon McCoy.
Yeah, All-American freshman transfer from Oregon State.
Yeah.
The word is they're happy with Jamon McCoy. I'd be shocked if he don't make a impact in the Southeastern Conference year day one.
One person that I highly respect said that they thought he might be a future first round pick. So that's saying a lot. And then going on down to the corners, the other guy, Ricky Gibson from Alabama, Georgia wanted him bad. Really great athlete.
Yeah, athlete
True
was his
freshman
thing.
last year.
Yeah, and got the bowl start. Did he not?
Yeah.
And I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be your starter. I mean, I would throw out there day one. I mean, right now, I'd say he's starter.
Right.
But one of our other transfers coming in, the staff says he's probably got a better mental picture of what's going on out there than anybody else we've gotten. And that's Jalen McMurray.
Yeah. Transfers from Temple. Very, very consistent, they said.
Yeah, another young guy.
Yeah.
But he's going to be in the mix. I'd say we got a solid, very, very solid top three.
Yeah. And then you got Christian Conyers, who was a freshman last year.
Highly thought of.
And I think he's going to be really good. And Jordan Matthews, I still think he's going to be really good. I mean, you see a lot of videos of him in spring practice getting beat, but he's almost always like draped over the wide receiver.
Yeah.
They just make a great play.
Yeah. And he maybe he's a step behind, step out. But, before you can make the great play, you got to be in position to make the great play. He's in position to make the great play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you coach him.
Right.
To get him from here to here to here to finally here. Ability is there with Jordan Matthews.
All right. Let's talk about star spot, Tim, which is really a huge spot in the secondary.
In this defense, particularly.
I think it's one of two people. Jordan Thomas, which has talent, but it seemed like injuries have held him back to this point.
Yeah, I agree on both of those. And everyone really that watches practice, all the insiders, agree on that.
The guy behind him, who I think is a future superstar, Boo Carter.
Who? I don't think I've heard you say that name before.
Yeah, I think I've
once, twice,
yeah,
22 times.
I think announcers are going to be saying his name a lot. That's how good I think he is.
In a previous episode, I think I made the statement, Boo Carter is the type of player that when I sit back and imagine what I used to play like, he's actually doing what I imagine myself doing.
Yeah, and then you wake up, yeah.
Yes, and then I wake up.
But yeah, Boo Carter, outstanding athlete. You'll see him on kickoffs and punt returns this year. Honestly, I think the guy would be a star on offense too. That's how good a player he is.
Yeah.
I could see some little bit of Eric Berry type comparisons because when he gets the ball, if he does get an interception or a fumble return or something like that, It could go all the way the other direction.
The first time he touches it, I'm out of my seat because I'm
Yeah,
watching for a
like,
touchdown.
yeah,
Yeah, probably every time he touches it, I'm out
yeah,
of my seat watching for a touchdown.
yeah,
And safeties,
yeah,
really been happy with the transfer out of Middle Tennessee State, Jacoby
yeah.
Thomas.
Jacoby Thomas. They have been very happy with him. I seen him to get a pick six in one of the first scrimmage they had. I think he's probably nailed down one of those starter spots, probably.
Yeah, I think a
Uh,
big improvement probably from what we've had.
I think it is, and that's
Uh,
one reason why I think that secondary is going to be improved. Uh, and then you got competing for those spots, Andre Turtine, which had an interception in the bowl game.
mhm.
Then you also have John Slaughter, which I think is a very talented guy.
Yeah, I think one of the best athletes on the team.
Yeah. Who else we got, Tim?
Well, I mean, you've got a lot of people to throw out there that's going to, we moved Christian Charles back over to safety, which is his natural spot.
Right.
So I expect him to be, maybe in the rotation. Him and Christian Harrison both. I've heard some good things out of Christian Harrison actually in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And the freshmen, you've got a couple other freshmen who's made some plays. They've been noticed, and that's Farouk
Yeah, I think he's going to play her.
and Marcus Gorey.
Yeah.
Are both guys who, maybe not this year, maybe special teams guys. But would it shock me if they get into the rotation? It would not.
Yeah. One other thing I want to quickly bring up, Tim, that we kind of skipped over earlier that I really thought might be a help for this defense is, we bring up that Wyoming new DB linebacker coach. I mean, one thing I think that might help with him, he's been a defense coordinator at 5 spots. We brought up the fact that Tim Banks has kind of had a game or two where he has just seemed like he's slipped. We haven't been able to find a correction quick enough
Mm-hmm.
to stop the bleeding. Florida, Missouri comes to mind. Having another defensive coordinator with experience there, I think could be a hidden gem that could help this defense take to the next level.
Hey, anytime you got quality people in the building with experience and talent, and I believe William Inge does have both,
Mm-hmm.
if you'll utilize it, that's a huge plus.
And I think it's one of the reasons why they went after him. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that was part of the thinking of Banks is having somebody there to give him some ideals, help, scheme.
Well, to wrap this thing up, like and subscribe. We do appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate the time you spent with us today.
We enjoy this. We love it. We hope y'all enjoy listening to
And I
it.
hope we told you something, maybe didn't know. And but regardless, boys, we're about to kick some tail in on this defense.
Yeah, I mean, like to sum it all up, Tim, offense is going to be great. Defense is going to be great. And enjoy this season because we're going to be dang good this year. Playoffs. Go ahead and get your tickets. Go ahead and get in line. Buy me one.
Yes, was
Two, yeah. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video and go Vols.
go big orange.